Good morning, good day, everyone. Welcome to another session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by Canvas community members and or instructor employees to help Canvas users improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. Today, we will be continuing, and this is the last of our 6-part series for Google LTI. We're going to talk about collaborative explosions. Effectively, we're going to just jump into the collaboration tool and how it works with and without the LTI. My name is Birai. I'm a community manager here at Instructure, and with me is Nick Demas. He's a trainer at Instructure. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning, Birai. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, we're excited to have you again. Okay, so let's just jump in. Every single session, we usually just kind of do a quick overview of how to install the LTI in case this is your first session. As you know, the Google LTI allows users to leverage more Google tools and functionalities within Canvas, and so that means less toggling between Google Classroom and Canvas. And of course, it automates some of the permissioning too, which is awesome. So how do you install the Google LTI? Well, first you have to add it through the Edu Apps Center or the Apps section in your course, configure the LTI, and then authorize Google to access it, or authorize Canvas to access Google. So first, you would have to go into your course, and of course, you can also add this at the institution level or at the account level. So it doesn't necessarily have to come through the course level, but you can do it at the course level if you're testing it out. But we encourage it if a lot of instructors are using it. We encourage, and you're a Google school, we would probably encourage it that you do it at the instant level, like account level at your school. Anyway, you would go into your courses, you would click on the Apps tab, and you do a search for Google. And so the Google Apps application would pop up. You would click on that, and then you would be filling out some information. And it will ask for a consumer key and a shared secret key, at which point you would open up a new browser tab, do a search for eduappcenter.com, and then in there you would again do a search for Google Apps. And so that information will pop up, and there's a little bit of a link at the bottom there on installation instructions, and so you'd click on here and then generate an LTI key and a secret. And so once that key is generated, you would copy and paste that back into that form that you were prompted to do in the course. And then at some point you will be asked to authorize your Google Drive, and then that sync will be created between Canvas and your Google Drive, and then you can continue using the Google LTI in your course. So collaborations, that's what we're talking about today. Collaborations is an opportunity for your students to collaborate on one document, a spreadsheet, or a slide deck. And this is not to be confused with what we talked about last week, or a couple weeks ago, which was cloud assignments. So cloud assignments is you have one document as a teacher, and then you multiply it or you duplicate it, and every student in your class will have a copy of that and work on their own copy. And if you're interested in that side of how the LTI works, check out our Google LTI series, the one called Worksheet Wonders. The video's up for that, and you can look at how to do all that stuff there. So today we're going to talk about the collaboration in one place. So as an instructor, you have one assignment or one document, and then you're asking other students to collaborate on that one document. So if you did not have the LTI installed, so I'll go through and talk about what you could do. You could still have the similar effect without the LTI, and then I'll turn it over to Nick, who will talk about what you could do if you had the LTI installed. So in sort of collaborations, the way it used to work, or the way it works now, is you'd go to the collaborations tab in your navigation in your course, and you'd be presented with a button that says start a new collaboration, at which point you'll be able to see a drop down, and the only drop down option you would see is Google Docs. And so you would click Start a Google Doc and then name the document and maybe put in a little description. And in the back end, the Google Docs would set up all the share and edit permissions with other students that you've chosen. You have the ability to add the students right from your roster there. And then without your even having to go to Google, it will set up a shared doc with edit privileges with the selection of students that you've created. But if you wanted to do something where you were sharing spreadsheets or slide decks or something like that for other file types, then you would have to go manually to your Google Drive, pull up the document or file type that you want to share, and manually set up those share and edit permissions with other students. And of course, at that point, you'd have to kind of know their student emails, because that's not automatically embedded. Unless you're a Google School, maybe those emails will auto-populate there. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick. Basically, you can do all of the things that, you can share documents and files manually through Google, or if you're just working with Docs, you can do it with the collaboration tools as it is now. It's just a lot more clicks. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick, and he's going to talk about what that looks like after you've installed the LTI. Nick?
Thanks, B-Rai. And yes, I want to echo what you just said. We hate clicks. And there's going to be a bit of clicking that we have to do regardless. We're online. That's part of the online environment. You get to click. All right, so we are going to be within our course today. I already started off at the course page. So let me get into collaborations again. When we're working through collaborations through this method, not a lot in terms of steps have changed. If you want to build a collaboration, if you're going to be using Google for that collaboration, you're simply using that collaborations tab in the course navigation menu. And let me jump into that, and we'll start our collaboration. When we first jump into this, we're seeing the old view. This old view is the one that's linked to Google Docs and Google Docs only, the one that we had to go through our account area and settings in order to set up our registered web service, to have Google be part of that registered web service. And it gave us this chance to use some Google Docs as part of our collaborations. But now, through the LTI, we get a menu. And in this menu, we get to choose our Google Apps option. So make sure you're making that distinction as you're jumping into it. You have Google Docs, Google Apps, and 4 letters for Docs or Apps, but make sure that you are selecting the Apps option. When you go into start a new collaboration and you're using Google Apps, you're going to, as B-Rai mentioned, you will have more options at your disposal. So when we look at this, below our collaborate using, we have kind, and we have our options within that to be document, spreadsheet, and presentation. So let's start out with a document. We're going to select that option, and we can give this option a name. And if you're going through the trainings, if you're doing this, if you've done anything with Canvas, if you've been paying attention to these other series, you've heard me say this, and I'll say it again, use good naming conventions so that students know exactly what they are getting into when they jump into this area. Use good conventions. All right, and then we can also provide a description for what is going to be happening here and what the purpose of this document is. Maybe we are using this specific document for classroom notes. But when it really comes to collaborations, I encourage you to think about A, what you're already doing in the classroom, and B, maybe expanding on that to include different information or different case uses for building out these docs or spreadsheets or presentations or presentations. For example, I come from a history background. I would love the idea of groups building out these different docs or even spreadsheets that are built around having notes for historical documents, as well as possibly bibliographic sort of entries that might have been placed as part of a spreadsheet or in these documents themselves, so that my groups could work together in creating these different options. All right, so when I go in here, I have this option after my description to select the people or the groups that are going to be part of this. Now, I only have 1 student registered in this class, so I'm only going to be able to show off this process with that 1 student. If I had more students, really just replicate the problem that I'd be replicating the process that I've been doing through Google Docs, which is to select all students or specific students, or even building out the student groups that I can work with. Now, since it's just a matter of selecting the user, I am going to select that user. And then when I'm ready for this document, and again, I could add more users if I had more users. I could select the groups if I had groups. But when I'm ready, I can select Submit, watch the wheel work. And now we are going to be in a realm to be able to work on our collaboration for this. I go back into collaborations. I'm already there. So let's go to start a new collaboration this time, and I'm going to select start a new collaboration. This time I'm going to go through the process. Again, I'm going to select my Google Apps option. When I go into Google Apps, this time let's start a presentation. It's not significantly, I said presentation. Let's go with presentation, and then we're going to go with our history presentation on this one. Make sure that we spell things correctly. We'll build a description. And select our collaborators. I'd say with Abraham Lincoln, I have a good history presentation collaborator. And when I'm ready for this, I want to submit. Watch the wheel work, retrieve our content, get going. All right, so right now, as you're looking at my screen, this is where having a good naming convention will come into place. As you're looking at your current collaborations, what do you notice on this? You notice that I should wait for an answer. What you're noticing on this is that you are seeing the same icon for two different types of documents. So using the good notifications is going to help us out, or good, the good naming convention is going to help us out in determining what these documents are. Now that I see that this is history presentation, maybe I should jump in and understand that it's slides. On this one, I should mention that it's a doc in there someplace. So keep in mind that the naming conventions will help you out when you're determining what these different pieces are. So let's start a new collaboration, and this time we are going to do the spreadsheet. Maybe this time I want to say spreadsheet at the beginning, and this might be history, let's call it documentation for sources. Maybe bibliographic entries. You know, if I were using this in different classes, I might be doing something like, maybe it's something related to accounting. B-Rai and I had an example from a few weeks back where we talked about tracking calories through one of these spreadsheets as perhaps a group project and having different groups work through those different pieces. And again, if we wanted to select more users, we'd have more users to work from, more groups to work from if we've actually built out that group space. And then we get to submit this option again, and we are on the way to creating that spreadsheet. Good naming conventions and so on. We can trash these by setting that garbage can. We can go to that pencil, and this will give us an opportunity to, if we have maybe an unexpected enrollment to the class, where we can add a user, and we can even remove a user through this option if we wanted to change up the way that these collaborations are working through. So this is a way where you can, again, add additional users or remove users from the component. Let me select that spreadsheet piece. When I selected that spreadsheet piece, I just grabbed the title. This will actually take me to that document that I'm going to be working through. So remember, this is the bibliographic entry. I might be doing last name, first name, title, year, date, month, publication, accessed, and all my stuff when it comes to building out this style. So I apologize about that. But maybe this is something where students come in and say the name of the author that they might be working from for that collaboration and that group that they're working through. And that would also apply if I were to jump into these different areas. If I jump into history presentation, you'll notice that this will take me to that slide I'm going to be able to work on with my group of students. And so on. The collaborations are going to be easy ways to work through this different material and get these students together that are going to be jumping in and building out this content for their students. And we do have control over it, like I mentioned. We access the information that we built, edit, where we can go to add students, and just trash this information overall if we don't like what we're doing, or if we're to a point where we want to start over or be done with it, etc. And then we can start our new collaborations once the collaborations have begun. In this area, we have our list. Again, reminder, we want those good naming conventions so we know what we are working through for these different collaborations. That description will also go a long way towards helping out in determining these different pieces of material. I'm just going to close these down, and I am going to go to a few of our Google LTI tips. First of all, if you've tested it out, you brought in Google LTI at the course level, so that you could work with it with your students, and your institution decided that the institution wants to have Google LTI installed, I really encourage you to go in and delete the one at the course level so that you don't have to do everything. As I've stated so many times, use consistent naming conventions when you're building out your files, your folders. Do stuff that you will understand what you're looking through and be able to go back and take a look at and understand what's going on. Make it easy for yourself and make it easy for your students. And as we pointed out, when we hit that pencil that was associated with each collaboration, if we want to make an update, if we need to add a student or maybe remove a student, depending on what's happened in our classes, maybe added or dropped a student, or maybe a couple students aren't working well for a collaboration, we can update it using that edit pencil that shows up throughout Canvas. Those are a few tips when it comes to using Google LTI and collaborations. But again, I encourage you to think about different ways that you can use these different components in your classroom to make it more meaningful for your students and to expand on what you are already doing in the classroom.
Great. Lots of good discussion going on in the chat room as well, or in the sort of live chat here, and I think there's a lot of great questions that are being asked, especially Timothy, who asked about collaborations with existing files. And at this point, the collaboration tool is sort of from beginning to end. It sort of starts the new document or new file type. It doesn't pull from an existing list of files that you have in your drive and say, I want to collaborate on this one that you started at some point before you launched the Google collaborations tool. So yes, that would be an awesome thing as well to have, and I'll absolutely forward it on to our product team. But at this point, there's no indication that that's going to happen. I wanted to bring everybody's attention to, since this is our last one, after this, we will be putting together a panel discussion with Kate McGee. She is our product manager for the Google LTI tools. So we'll put together a panel presentation with them. And if you're interested in participating in that panel, feel free to contact me directly. Nick, can you move to the next slide? So my information is there. Just go ahead and email me directly, and then we'll, after today, we'll put together some dates and times where that session will occur, and then we'll, stay tuned to Canvas Live space so that you can be aware of that. Go to the next slide. We do have a live chat forum. So if you want to have sort of these conversations ongoing, you can do that. You just go to live.canvaslms.com. There's a chat room button there that you can sign up for, and then search. Once you get once you are in the chat, you can search the open forums for Google. If you're already in the chat, you can just go to that link that I posted there at the bottom. So like I said, we're having we'll have a panel discussion of Google LTI here in a few weeks. So if you want to make sure you're notified, be sure to go to live.canvaslms.com and make sure you're following that space. Usually you get notified of every new event that comes through Canvas Live. You can feel free to join the Canvas Live user group. That's where we do a lot of our brainstorming, and we do calls for things like panel discussions and things like that. Or if you want to collaborate on a Canvas Live presentation, you can find people there to collaborate with as well. So it's a lot of our brainstorming and workflow happens there. And of course, you can hang out in our general Canvas chat rooms as well. Looking at the live chat, Neil has some great workarounds for for Timothy's questions on leveraging existing files and getting students to collaborate on stuff that you've already created. So there's some good things there. We can summarize that and put that on the events page as well. And then I think that's it. Are there any other questions about collaboration tools? Okay. We will post a summary of some of these discussions and make sure that the things that Robert and Neil and Timothy brought up are addressed in and referenced at the very least. And then hopefully we'll see you in another session of Canvas Live, and maybe we'll see you at the panel discussion as well. So that will be great. Thank you, Nick, for demoing again today. And thanks everybody for being here and being part of the Canvas Live Google LTI series, if you've kind of been around for the entire thing. I guess we'll wish you a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you hopefully in another event. Have a great day, everybody.